This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I am Roby Brock. We are glad to have you with us. It is day 11 of the 93rd General Assembly. Kind of a slow day at the state capitol today, but here's a few things that happened. In the state Senate today, no major controversies, no major debates. The College of the Ouachita has moved a step closer to its new name, Arkansas State University Three Rivers, to note its affiliation with the ASU system. In the House, a non-controversial bill on car tags and cleanup legislation involving judicial districts and the prescription drug monitoring program. On the COVID-19 front, a third state legislator has been stricken by the disease since the start of the session last week. State Representative Lanny Fight of Benton, we wish him well. These were the numbers put out today from the Health Department and Governor Asa Hutchinson. Arkansas ended a 4-day week-over-week decline in numbers. 3,106 new COVID-19 cases in Arkansas just today. 55 new deaths since yesterday, bringing the total number of deaths to 4,496. We will top 4,500 deaths tomorrow, no doubt. Hospitalizations are down by 19, while available ICU beds stand at 68. They have been as low as 37 just this month. A reminder to stay safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, and socially distance. And when we come back from this word from our sponsors, I'll be joined by Senator Jonathan Dismang. He is the chairman of the Joint Budget Committee on the Senate side, a powerful committee there in terms of controlling where the tax dollars go. Got a lot of questions for him on tax and budget. And later, Speaker Matthew Shepard gives his Thursday into the week press conference. We'll dip in. Talk Business and Politics is sponsored in part by Capital Advisors Group and...
You'll find us at the end of a lot of long country roads, covering over 60% of the great state of Arkansas. Our 17 electric distribution cooperatives are working day and night to provide reliable, affordable power to over 500,000 homes, farms, and businesses, just like yours. The Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, your local energy partners.
They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But if you're looking for something more, Walmart has you covered. We provide quality care, no appointment necessary. Whether you're looking for fresh, healthy groceries to fill your prescription, get a flu shot, or pick up your next pair of glasses, we're standing by with in-store health professionals available across the country to offer patient-first, affordable care whenever you need it. Apples, optional.
And welcome back to the program. I'm joined now by Senator Jonathan Dismang. He is the chairman of the Joint Budget Committee, one of the most powerful and influential committees there at the state legislature. Senator Dismang, thank you for being with us.
I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, obviously the budget process is really the lion's share, the biggest reason why you guys are up there for the legislative session. And I guess I just want to kind of get from you, the governor's proposed a nearly $6 billion state budget. What do you think is the biggest thing that may change from the governor's recommendations?
Well, I mean, so far, we're going to have to wait until we get more bills to come through to see what some of the legislative ideas that make it through the bill process and become an act that have additional cost tied to them and see how that's going to impact his balanced budget. One of the main things that we're focusing on now, because we know what the number is the $240 million worth of surplus that's accumulated for the state. The governor, when he made his balanced budget presentation, also laid out his roadmap for those funds. And so we've been meeting with members over the last 2 weeks, really, to talk about what his priorities were versus the priorities of the legislature. And I mean, I'll just say, I think one of the things we focus back on is, right now we have an inflated economy. There's cheap money, to borrow, and there's also lots of federal money that's flowing through. We feel like at some point the music's going to stop, and we're going to do everything we can to shift funds to the long-term reserve, and then also set them aside in what's called the restricted reserve, so that they're used for really emergency need type situations.
So you mentioned that $240 million. The governor wants to put $100 million into that reserve fund, $50 million for tax cuts. That leaves $90 million. But I hear you telling me that maybe that 150 that the governor's made some proposals on isn't going to be 150. Can you kind of take the 240 and give me a breakdown of where you kind of see money going I guess, into different categories or different places.
And of course, it could change, but the governor also set aside $30 million for a broadband initiative here in the state. Again, that would go to restricted reserve under the proposal we're looking at right now, at least, and its own subcategory to be utilized for that. There was $3 million for state police vehicles and $28.5 million for facilities funding, education, schools, buildings, and that sort of thing. But what we would really look to do, and one of the biggest changes would be on that $25 million that he's utilized from surplus to plug his balanced budget. As long as I've been here, that's something that we haven't done. In fact, when I was chairman of Revenue and Tax, one of the first questions you ask when someone brings in a tax cut bill is, what are we going to cut in the budget, because it impacts the balanced budgets that's been proposed so far. And so I believe that $25 million should go into the long-term reserve, and we're going to need to make up, if we're going to cut those taxes, with some cuts inside the current balanced budget proposal.
Sounds like no tax increases is what I'm hearing, at least from your lips at this point in time. Although
that's absolutely right.
Well, there is a proposal out there with the EITC tax credit, but let me come back to that. Let's talk about the governor's restructuring bill that he passed in the last session, the whole government transformation process.
Right.
Are you seeing any savings from that? Can you point to something that is improved the bottom line for some of the state agencies?
That's one of the things, sitting in the committee meetings, that you hear a lot from the members, is really wanting to get something down on paper on where the savings are, where the agencies are really realizing those savings. And in my understanding, it's still something we're really waiting to get in black and white from the governor's office or the administration on what's being realized there. So at this point, that is a pretty hotly contested issue in regards to budget and removal of personnel and adding of personnel in various positions, and one that I think we're going to need some more clarification on as we move forward through the appropriation process.
So Senator Sample, who chairs the Senate Revenue and Tax Committee that you serve on, has indicated he wants to wait until late in the session to move some of the major tax cut bills that are going to be debated. Do you like that approach? Is that going to help you from the budgeting process? It seems like it might make budgeting a little difficult to have to wait to see what the revenue side of the equation is going to be.
It will push that discussion of RSA towards the end, but RSA always comes at the end of the session. It mimics predominantly what we've done in the past in Senate Revenue and Tax. We do like to consider those items towards the end of the session. That way you have a more complete look of what's being proposed. My goal as a member of that Revenue and Tax is to keep moving forward down the field, improving our structure so that we're more attractive for individuals and businesses to locate inside the state. And if you piecemeal things together throughout the session, it's harder to achieve that objective. And so again, I like the strategy that Chairman Sample is using for Revenue and Tax, and I think it's one that'll work out for us better in the end.
So let's just talk about some of the major tax cut bills that are going to be out there. The governor is proposing a tax cut for new residents to come to the state. That's going to have a price tag with it.
Right.
You've got the EITC tax cut or tax reform that Senator Grin has championed. And you also got Representative Jett, who chairs the House Revenue and Tax Committee, with what I think is a pretty potentially meaningful tax cut bill to eliminate that lowest tax bracket in the state of Arkansas. It's got a price tag on it of about $84 million, but certainly doable. Do you like one of those proposals over the other? Do you think it's possible to do what the governor wants to do and one of those two other major tax cut bills?
I mean, from what I've heard so far, I don't believe there's much traction on the new resident tax proposal that the governor's brought forward. We have the used car sales tax, which both the governor and I think a number of members have indicated that they would like to support. And so I think that definitely has legs. I'm not sure what it looks like in its final form, but I do think we'll have a used car sales tax bill. And then beyond that, what I foresee, at least on individual income tax, is that there's going to be a blend. For me personally, it's a little bit more complicated, but working on a bill to smooth some of the cliffs in our brackets right now and simplify our tax code. And I'm hoping to be able to pair that with some of the other ideas out there. And again, we need to reform our income tax code, make ourselves more attractive. And that's the goal. And I think, at the end of the day, I think it'll be a blending of different ideas on income tax.
So let me make sure I'm hearing you right. You've got a bill that is going to try to smooth some of the rough edges of the income tax brackets, is what
Right.
I hear you saying. You want to talk to Senator Hendren and Representative Jett, see if there's a way to incorporate what you're doing and what they're doing into maybe one cohesive tax policy reform. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah, and I definitely think that's how we should look at individual income tax. Part of the reason, part of my issue, I guess, with what we've done so far on income tax, I'm proud of a lot of the cuts that we've made, but there are people that, live inside the cliffs. I mean, that's where they make their money. And at the end of the day, those folks have been left out of tax cuts to date. And so I think we need to address that, and also creates a simpler process for those that want to file the return. The feds did a great job of simplifying their processes down to a one-page form for a lot of W-2 income earners. And I think that's a goal that we should have here also. And again, I'm not sure where we go on EITC. I do think that there's some room for the lower income tax, maybe by utilizing some standard deduction increases or increases of the credits that are there in play right now. Again, I think we're a ways off, and that's one of the values that we're going to have, and be able to look at these things all at one time towards the end of the session and really pull some of the better ideas together.
You guys are going to have to hole up in the back room of Doe's or something and figure something out there. I want to ask you one non-tax, non-budget bill here. You have filed a Senate Bill 82, which deals with the use of campaign funds after a candidate withdraws for a certain office. Kind of explain to me what you're trying to fix in that bill.
Well, so the court struck down the law that really limited gathering of campaign contributions for 2 years, and it's open-ended at this point. In my discussions with the Ethics Commission director, he'd asked me to run another bill that was related to that to fix the language that's in the books. But I felt like that was a loophole or an issue that could be exploited. There's nothing in the law right now that dictates how you handle that. It's my understanding that the Ethics Commission would actually encourage people to do exactly what's in this bill, but there were no teeth or anything else to really require it to be done. One of the things we always ask for is, let's make things clear. Let's not make it so that, some individuals might fall to a trap of just not understanding what they're doing. I think this lays out a very clear path and would prevent someone from really switching from one off to the other and gaming the system in a way. All
right. He is Senator Jonathan Dismang, chair of the Joint Budget Committee. I reserve the right to ask you to come back and answer more questions as the session unfolds.
Look forward to it.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
And when we come back from this break, we'll hear from Speaker Matthew Shepard. Stay tuned. Talk Business and Politics is sponsored in part by Impact Management Group and...
We have a large commitment to our solar for good reason. It lowers customers' rates. It's emissions-free.
Entergy Arkansas is the largest provider of solar in the state of Arkansas.
Utility-scale solar is much more economic for customers. We're going to operate it. We're going to maintain it. We're going to focus on it. That's what we do for a living.
We want to continue to find ways to partner with our customers to meet their renewable energy goals.
Customers want this. We want to provide it. So our commitment is for the long term.
Stepping into the unknown, it can be difficult to find the way. But with the compassion of the cross and the security of the shield, obstacles become openings. As we have for more than 65 years, we'll continue to light the way, using our knowledge to create new healthcare solutions, giving you the power to shine forward to whatever awaits tomorrow. Arkansas Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Live fearless.
And welcome back from the break. Apologies, we do not have the video of Speaker of the House Matthew Shepard's press conference from today. There was a technical snafu, and we are told we can't get a copy of it from the Arkansas House of Representatives. So we will get that all worked out and get back to you next week when Speaker Shepard does his Thursday press conference. I would point out that we do have a story that is trending on our website at talkbusiness.net. Around a controversial bill, House Bill 1218 by Representative Mark Lowry, as well as Senators Mark Johnson and Gary Stubblefield. We've got some pros and cons of people that support and oppose that bill. You should check it out at talkbusiness.net. That is all for this edition of Talk Business and Politics. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you next time.